Have you ever felt like everyone else is moving faster than you? Like you're standing still while the world keeps running ahead? You scroll through endless success stories, people younger than you achieving everything you once dreamed of, and you tell yourself it's fine, that your time will come. But when you're alone, that thought creeps in again. What if it never does? What if you missed the moment, the chance, the spark? You feel it, don't you? The quiet ache of being behind, the sense that you were meant for something, but it's taking too long to show up. But what if this feeling, this restlessness, this delay, isn't a punishment? What if it's a sign, not that you're late, but that you're still becoming? Because maybe you weren't meant to bloom early. Maybe you were meant to build something deeper, something that needs more time, more failure, more silence before it's ready to rise. You see, the world celebrates the fast ones, the prodigies, the early achievers, the overnight successes. But no one talks about what comes after the applause. No one talks about the burnout, the loss of purpose, the hollow feeling that follows the finish line. You, on the other hand, you're still climbing. You're still gathering the pieces. Every setback you've survived has carved something into you. Patience, empathy, endurance. You've learned to rebuild yourself quietly. You've learned to live without needing the validation of being ahead. That's not weakness. That's strength most people never get the chance to earn. Because when you bloom late, you don't just grow. You understand your growth. You see every scar, every stumble, every delay as part of the design. Think about it. Flowers that bloom too soon often die before the season ends. But those that wait, that endure the cold and the rain, they last, they survive. And maybe that's you, the one who doesn't rush anymore, the one who's tired of pretending to have it all figured out, the one who's starting to realize that the timeline you've been following isn't even yours. You inherited it from teachers, parents, friends, society. You were told that success has an age limit, that purpose expires if you don't find it fast enough. But that's a lie. There is no universal clock for growth. Some souls are meant to wander longer before they arrive. And here's what no one tells you. While you've been doubting yourself, your story's been quietly forming depth. The waiting has been teaching you how to hold on when things fall apart. The failures have been teaching you how to start again with more honesty. The loneliness has been teaching you how to hear your own voice above the noise. And when your moment finally comes, and it will, it won't look like anyone else's. It won't be loud or flashy. It'll be calm, powerful, certain, because you'll recognize it. You'll know what it took to get there. The truth is, late bloomers don't lose time. They use it. They gather wisdom where others chase validation. They learn the difference between growth and performance, between movement and progress, between success and fulfillment. That's why when they finally rise, they rise with roots. Deep ones. Ones that hold steady when life shifts again, as it always does. So if you feel behind, understand this. You are not broken. You are not delayed. You are in the season of preparation. The one no one claps for. The one that feels invisible, but the one that matters most. You are building foundations that can't be rushed. You are learning to trust timing instead of fighting it. And in a world obsessed with speed, that's rebellion, that's freedom. You haven't missed your chance. You are not late to your own life. You are right on time for what's meant to last. And someday, when the world finally sees what you've been quietly becoming, they'll call it success. But you'll know better. You'll know it wasn't luck or timing or chance. It was patience. It was persistence. It was the quiet power of showing up, even when no one was watching. And that's what makes late bloomers win in the end. You've spent so long waiting for the right moment that you forgot something. The moment doesn't come to you. You create it. Every day you hesitate. Every day you compare. You hand over a piece of your own power. You think you need to be ready first, but readiness is an illusion. No one ever feels ready. The ones who move forward anyway are the ones who change everything. You've been holding back, waiting for a sign, when the sign was always the silence you feel right now. The ache that tells you this life you're living isn't the one you were meant for. That's not failure. That's your soul refusing to settle. You've outgrown waiting. The excuses, the fear, the stories you tell yourself about not being enough. They've served their purpose. They kept you safe. But safety is no longer your goal. Growth never happens in comfort. You don't find yourself by staying where it's easy. You find yourself when you take the step that terrifies you. The one you've been avoiding. The one that whispers, what if this actually works? Because that's the truth. You already have what it takes. You've just been trained to doubt it, to think that someone else's approval will give it meaning. But everything you're chasing, every dream that keeps you up at night, it's waiting on one thing, your decision. Think about how much time you've already survived. All the pain, all the waiting, all the things you thought would break you, they didn't. You're still here, stronger, wiser, tired maybe, but still fighting. And that means you have proof that you can endure, proof that you can start again. The world tells you that success belongs to the fearless, but that's not true. It belongs to the ones who act despite the fear, the ones who refuse to let hesitation become identity. You don't need permission to begin. You never did. The truth is, no one's coming to save you. No opportunity is going to fall into your lap. No one will hand you the moment where everything finally feels right. That's the lie that keeps people asleep. The truth is harder, but it's also more freeing. You save yourself the moment you decide to stop waiting. You become unstoppable. The moment you realize you've been capable all along. The people you admire, the ones who seem to have it all figured out, they're not different from you. They just stopped asking for permission to live the life they wanted. Right now, you're standing on the edge of everything you've ever wanted. The fear you feel? It's not a warning, it's a sign you're close. Fear is the mind's way of protecting what's familiar. But you're not meant to stay familiar. You're meant to expand, to grow into the space your potential has been waiting to fill. Every great change feels like chaos before it feels like freedom. That's how you know it's real. That's how you know it's time you've spent enough time watching others live the life you've imagined. Enough time convincing yourself that your moment will come later. There is no later. There's only now. Every second you hesitate, the gap widens between the life you want and the one you settle for. But the moment you act, even in small ways, that gap starts to close. Momentum begins with one choice. And once you make it, life starts to move differently. Things align, people appear, doors open. But it all begins with that first step, the one that proves to yourself you're done waiting. You owe it to yourself to see how far you can go, to test your strength, to become someone your past self wouldn't even recognize. The late bloomers, the slow starters, the quiet ones, they win because they refuse to give up. Because while everyone else burns out chasing approval, they're building something real, something that lasts. That's your power, that's your advantage. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Create it. Don't look for signs, be one. Every second you spend doubting yourself is a second you could be building the life you've dreamed of. The world doesn't need more people who fit the timeline. It needs more people who break it. And that's you. The one who took too long, who questioned too much, who started too late, and still made it anyway. That's what makes you dangerous. That's what makes you unstoppable. You've been taught to measure your worth by speed. How fast you achieve, how soon you arrive, how quickly you prove you're something. But speed doesn't equal depth. The world worships the sprint, but life is a marathon that rewards endurance. The fast ones burn bright, then burn out. The steady ones, the patient ones, they last. They grow in silence, unseen, underestimated, until one day they're the only ones left standing. That's not luck. That's mastery, the kind that only comes from waiting, failing, learning, and rising again. You are not running out of time. Time is running out of people who can move with purpose. The more you chase what's fleeting, the more you drift from what's real. Every moment you spend doubting yourself is a moment you could be shaping your future. Every time you compare your path to someone else's, you weaken your own. You can't bloom in soil that's meant for another. Your growth demands focus, undivided, unapologetic focus, because your story isn't supposed to match theirs. It's supposed to surpass it. The truth is, no one remembers who started first. They remember who finished strong. The ones who took their time building something that couldn't be shaken. The ones who kept showing up long after others stopped. That's what defines a late bloomer. Not the delay, but the persistence. The refusal to quit when the results don't come fast enough. You've been forged in patience, hardened by waiting. Every day you thought was wasted was really preparing you to handle what others can't, because when it finally happens for you, it won't be luck, it'll be alignment. You've carried the weight of expectations that were never yours to begin with, the pressure to prove, to arrive, to meet invisible deadlines. But what if the point was never to meet them? What if the real strength lies in defying them completely? You are not meant to move like everyone else. You are meant to disrupt the rhythm, to create your own. That's why your journey has been slower. Because what you're building takes precision. It takes storms to shape roots deep enough to hold what's coming. And it is coming. The life you've been waiting for. The moment that finally feels like yours. But it won't come to those who wait in silence. It comes to those who move in faith, who take action without certainty, who trust that every step forward, even the smallest one, is rewriting their story. The world doesn't reward the ones who hesitate. It rewards the ones who decide. Right now, that's your choice, to keep living as a shadow of your potential, or to finally step into it, to stop asking if you're ready, and start acting like you are. Because you are. You've been ready longer than you realize. You've just been afraid of the cost, what you might lose, who you might outgrow, how uncomfortable the unknown might be. But comfort is the cage that keeps your greatness small. Every person who ever made something extraordinary had to outgrow who they used to be. You can't stay safe and evolve at the same time. You can't cling to your old identity and expect a new life to begin. The old you has served its purpose. Now it's time to let it go. When you finally step forward, you'll notice something. The fear doesn't disappear, but it becomes fuel. The same voice that once held you back starts to push you forward. The same doubt that once paralyzed you becomes proof that you're on the edge of something real. Because fear only screams loudest when you're about to break through. That's how you know you're close. So don't stop now. Don't slow down because it's hard. The hard part is the doorway. The resistance means you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You've spent enough of your life shrinking to fit timelines that don't fit you. Now is the time to expand, to take up space, to own your story without apology. You are not late. You are precise. You are not behind. You are building something that takes time. Let them rush. Let them chase. You move with intention, because when your time comes, it won't just change your life. It'll redefine what timing even means. That's the victory of the late bloomer. Not just arriving, but arriving unshakable. Not proving others wrong, but proving to yourself that you were never wrong to begin with. Every person has a moment when everything inside them says, enough. Enough waiting, enough watching, enough shrinking to fit a life that no longer feels like theirs. That moment is terrifying and sacred. It's the crack where truth slips through. Because once you feel it, you can't unfeel it. You can't go back to pretending that you're satisfied with halfway living. You start to see it everywhere. The places you've settled, the dreams you've buried, the pieces of yourself you've hidden just to make others comfortable. And suddenly, mediocrity feels unbearable. You start to crave something real, something alive, something that feels like you. But to get there, you have to risk losing what's safe. You have to be willing to burn what's familiar to make space for what's true. That's the part most people run from. They trade purpose for comfort, authenticity for acceptance. But you're different. Because deep down you know that safety isn't living. It's waiting to die slowly. Every dream demands a sacrifice. Every transformation begins with loss. And the sooner you let go of what's holding you, the sooner you rise into what's meant for you. The pain you feel right now, it's not punishment. It's the shedding of an old version of you that's done its job. You're not breaking down. You're breaking open. You've been through too much to play small now. You've tasted disappointment, heartbreak, rejection, failure, and you're still standing. That means you've already survived the worst. What's left is to stop surviving and start creating. You don't need to wait for confidence to begin. Confidence is built in motion, not before it. Every action, every risk, every imperfect attempt rewires your mind to believe, I can do this. That's how transformation happens, not through thought, but through movement. You've thought enough. You've planned enough. You've waited enough. Now it's time to move. You might think your small steps don't matter, but that's how all revolutions begin, quietly, invisibly. The world only sees the moment you bloom, but they never see the years you spent growing roots in the dark. They never see the battles you fought when no one was watching. That's what makes your story powerful. You've built resilience no one can fake. You've built strength no one can take. And when you finally rise, it won't just be success, it'll be redemption. Proof that slow doesn't mean weak, that late doesn't mean lost. It means deliberate. It means earned. Right now, the world needs people who've been through the fire and still choose to love, to build, to hope. The ones who understand that healing and success aren't opposites, they're partners. Because when you heal, you stop chasing what's empty. You start creating what's real. You stop living for applause and start living for alignment. That's when your power becomes untouchable, because you're no longer moved by timelines, opinions, or noise. You're moved by purpose. And purpose never runs late. Every fear you have about being behind is built on an illusion that you're supposed to be somewhere else by now. But you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're in the middle of the becoming. You're not missing out. You're being refined. The delays, the detours, the heartbreaks, they're sculpting you into someone who can hold what others can't. Someone who's ready not just to succeed, but to sustain it. That's what makes late bloomers dangerous. They don't crumble when they rise. They've already learned how to rebuild. So this is it. The moment that separates the dreamers from the doers. You can keep waiting for the right time, or you can decide that time bends to your will. You can keep shrinking, or you can expand until your presence demands to be felt. You can keep pretending you're not ready, or you can remember that readiness is just another word for courage in motion. The clock doesn't define you. The world's pace doesn't define you. You define you. And when you finally choose to rise, not someday, but now, you'll understand the truth that late bloomers have always known. You never arrive late to your own destiny. You arrive exactly when the world is finally ready to meet you. Every life-changing moment begins with one decision, the decision to stop hiding from who you are. You've spent years trying to fit into a rhythm that was never written for you. You've played small to make others comfortable, dimmed your light so no one would call it too bright. But your silence has cost you more than their approval ever gave you. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to stand out, to move differently, to walk paths most people are too afraid to take. You've always known that. You've always felt that pull inside, the quiet knowing that you're meant for more. And no matter how long you've ignored it, it hasn't gone away. Because truth doesn't disappear when you delay it. It waits, patiently, until you're finally ready to stop running from yourself. This is that moment. The one your future self will look back on and whisper, that's when everything changed. Not when things got easier, but when you got stronger. When you stopped waiting for clarity and started creating it. Because clarity doesn't arrive before courage. It's born from it. Every time you take a step into uncertainty, life rearranges itself around your movement. But it won't move first. You have to go first. You have to show life that you're serious, that you're done pretending to be half of what you are. The universe doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards conviction. The kind that says, I may not know how this ends, but I'm all in anyway. You don't need to be perfect to begin. You don't need to have everything figured out. Perfection is the enemy of momentum. It's the disguise fear wears when it's afraid of failure. But failure is the proof you're alive. It's the evidence that you're trying. Every mistake, every misstep, every setback, it's all part of the becoming. You've spent enough time fearing what could go wrong. It's time to start imagining what could go right. You've suffered through seasons of waiting, of almost, of not yet. Don't waste them. They were building something in you that only pressure can create. The version of you that will rise from this will not resemble the one who settled for less. You are not who you were when you started. You've carried storms inside you and learned to stand anyway. You've lost people who couldn't handle your growth, and that loss became space for your expansion. You've failed, fallen, doubted, but still, you rise. And that's why you will win. Because your strength isn't built on ease. It's built on endurance. When the world told you to rush, you stayed patient. When it told you to quit, you kept going. You've already proven to life that you don't give up. Now it's time to prove to yourself that you don't hold back. There will never be a perfect day to begin. There will never be a version of you that feels completely fearless. But you don't need to be fearless. You just need to move anyway. That's what separates those who dream from those who live. Action is the bridge between potential and reality. Every great story began with someone who decided they were done waiting, someone who understood that progress doesn't require permission. And now it's your turn. Because if you don't act now, this moment becomes another memory of when you almost did. The clock is still ticking, but it's not your enemy. It's your witness. It's watching to see what you'll do with the time you have left. You can spend it replaying old fears, or you can spend it rewriting your life. You can keep asking if you're ready, or you can finally become the person who acts regardless of the answer. The life you want isn't waiting for tomorrow. It's waiting for now. Every excuse fades in the presence of a single act of courage. Every doubt dissolves the moment you take control of your story. So stand up. Step forward. Speak the truth you've been swallowing for years. Stop negotiating your worth with a world that never understood your value in the first place. You're not too late. You're right on time. Everything you've been through has been preparing you for this exact point. The intersection between who you were and who you're meant to become. The bloom is here. The delay was never denial, it was design. And the moment you embrace that, the world finally feels the impact of the person you were always destined to be.